friends, Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works Workshop. It is Thursday the 28th of April. I stirred up a hornet's nest yesterday. Yeah, I kind of knew I would, but I didn't expect there'd be so much support for Putin. I never thought that. That really does kind of hurt deep, I think, that people are that low that they can support Putin. I mean, I just can't. Yeah. And it's not the politics. People say, "Oh, you're talking politics." No, I'm not talking politics. I don't care what your politics are. I don't care what Putin's politics are, and I don't care at all what the US politics are. All I care about is innocent mamas and babies and men and children are being killed. That's all I care about. I don't care for what reason. Got nothing to do with any of that. I just want to see it stop. Period. End of discussion. Won't talk about it no more today. What we're here today to talk about is fixing cheap stuff. You know, we talked about poor design the other day, and I think I made my point about what I think poor design is. It's just you didn't think it through. Form didn't follow function. In other words, it don't function. That's poor design. You know, to me, when it don't work, you know, because you didn't think it through, that's a poor design. Well, today we're going to hit the other end of the spectrum with the planned obsolescence that so many of you hit on. Now, yeah, there's sometimes a real fine line between the two. But the reason I see the difference is that planned obsolescence pretty much defines itself. It was planned. It was thought about. Somebody did think to say, yeah, let's fix this way. It'll work for a year or two, and then it's going to break, and then they'll have to buy another one. You know, you don't want to make that too good because it'll last forever, you know, and then we won't sell any more of them. That's planned obsolescence. But it still does function, you know what I'm saying? So the form did follow the function, you know, the function does work. And that's what we're dealing with today. And I have a perfect example of this, I think. And I'm going to show you how this tightwad, it's not got nothing to do with money, trust me. I'm just saying that. But I'll show you how I'm going to fix it and fool those knuckleheads. For a lot of planned obsolescence, all you got to be is a little bit smarter than the dummy who created it. And in this crazy world today, that ain't too hard. So here it is. And you say, what is that? Well, it's a smartphone charger, and you can see that this little piece here has decided to give up the ghost. It still sort of works, but if you can see it up close here, on this side it's solid, over here it's broken off, and I don't know if it'll focus on that or not, but maybe you can see it. Yeah, that side's broken. I've got the little piece of plastic, and yeah, you could try to glue that back in there, and it would probably hold for a day, or 2 days, or 5 days, or maybe a week, but it's going to give up the ghost again. If it broke the first time, it's going to break the second time. So, how can I make this thing still work? Because it still charges my phone perfectly. Yeah, I know they're only $15. You know, I could go buy another one, but then this one would go to landfill. And it works perfectly well. The only thing it doesn't do is function. The form here, isn't working at this point. So, how can I make this work again? It ain't that hard. I'll show you. Okay, so how am I going to fix this? By the way, some of you probably don't even really still know what this is. This is a charging, a wireless. I don't know if you call it wireless, but yeah, it's a wireless charging thing. Most of these smartphones now they have a contact charger in the back built in. You can charge it through the port here, but this one here, this phone, again, planned obsolescence probably, the port quit working not that long after I got the phone. And you just set this on here like so, and it charges just by setting on here. But as you can see, this little tray has broken off, so now I can't set it on here without it falling off, you know. All right, so how am I going to fix this? And, you know, it wouldn't be worth it if you had to jump through a bunch of hoops, but I have a wood shop here, and a wood shop can fix a lot of things. So I have this just sitting on this flat thing here. This is just my tablet, just to more or less get a measurement. And what I wanted to do was measure what's the distance under this thing. And and I can't say I know for sure, but I'm guessing it at right about 200,000ths of an inch, little less than a quarter of an inch. So all I need to do is make myself a little platform here and then put a little 200,000ths elevation under this part right here. And maybe something to keep this from pushing forward also, maybe another little lip on top of that. Just a little cradle is all I need. And that can be the exact same size as this base, so the footprint won't change at all. And you might say, well, that's a lot of work. When you got a wood shop and you got all the tools I got, this takes like 5 minutes at most. All right, it actually took me longer to pull this little piece of wood out of my scrap pile than it did to cut it to this shape and size. And that's no kidding. All right, so I've got it to the right size here. And then I just picked another piece of wood out of the scrap pile, and I just thought I'd set it under here and see if it's the right thickness. It's pretty close, I would say. So I have two options. One would be that I could thin this down where it'll be perfectly the right thickness, or I could just thin down the part that I want, which will make a little trough right here and keep this thing from pushing forward also, which is what I think I'll do, because it's simple. And I like simple. So at this point, all I got to do is cut this off to this length, and we're almost done. All right, so I cut it off to the right length, and now I'm just going to draw a little bit of a deal here, just on both sides. And all I need to do is just kind of bevel a little bit of this out of here. Since you might want to do something like this at home, I'll just do it right here in front of you. I think I'm just going to cut a little bit of a line right here, just a little bit of an angle like that, not a big deal. And same way here, except I've got to cut it at the opposite direction since I turned this board around. Just a little piece like that. And then I think all I'm going to do, for simplicity's sake, again, no point in making it complicated. I could get out a Dremel tool or I could get out something else, but it doesn't need to be that complicated. And just take something like this and just get rid of some of this wood. Just break it out of the way there. The only dangerous thing here is running the chisel toward my finger. And before I take too much out, I'll check that and see if that looks like that's going to work. Pretty sure that's going to work right there. So you can see it's already pretty solid. Now, if I really want to, I could glue this to this. I don't care. That doesn't matter. In fact, I'm thinking about gluing the whole thing to the base because that way I don't have to worry about it. It'll always be in place. It'll never move. Look, see? Bingo, it works. Very simple solution. Took 2 minutes. So there you go. So all I got to do now is just glue this in place. And I'll get my tablet out of the way so I don't mess this up. Now, it would be nice to just glue this with Titebond and let it set, but ain't nobody got time for that. So I'll just do it the quick and dirty way. Again, the thing that takes the longest is finding the quick and dirty way, just finding this. So here's the glue. Put that on there like so. Spritz it with the old accelerator. And that should take care of that. And I seriously am thinking about just gluing this because who cares, right? You know, I could always glue it. I think I'll just leave it like it is for now. I think it's going to function just fine like that. You could say, well, that looks terrible having that white. I could easily make this black. I've got black dye. Again, just finding the black dye is going to take longer than doing it. So here's the black dye. The whole thing doesn't need to be black, just the front edges. And this is alcohol-based dye, so this dries in about 30 seconds. For the most part, the only thing that needs to be black is the edges, because everything else is covered. Wouldn't hurt to have the little bit of the top edges covered, just so they can't be seen. And this way I don't have to get it all over my fingers if I don't cover the whole thing. More than good enough. And I still did get it on my hand. You can't do this stuff without getting it on your hands. You can't do it. It's impossible. I don't know how you get it on your hands, but you will if you mess with this. It's amazing how this dye gets everywhere. All right, so I'm just drying it off just so it won't continue to get everywhere. Okay, so there you go. Looks perfectly fine to me. All I gotta do is set it on there, and now it works again. And I didn't have to spend my $15, and I didn't have to throw this in the landfill. So that, my friends, is probably more than you want to know about fixing cheap junk. But in my opinion, that's a good fix, and it'll last way longer than the actual apparatus. That's for sure, I guarantee you that. And by the way, I did decide to go ahead and CA glue the base, my new base, to this thing. It just makes it simpler and more sturdy. I don't have to worry about it now. It's there permanently, and it will work longer probably than the charger will continue to work, because that's probably another thing that's planned obsolescence inside there too. I do have a few more topics to cover in today's vlog. Most of them are just talking points. One of them is that I believe I have fixed the echo reverb problem that we were experiencing in the shop talks. Whenever I would show an external video, it just did crazy echoing. I went through everything on there, all their settings, and basically everything looked perfectly fine. So finally I just started changing things just at random. Finally, I hit upon changing something. I changed one audio device to another audio device, which essentially was the same device, but as soon as I changed it to the other one, it worked perfectly fine. In other words, there were two choices for the same thing. When I chose the other choice, you know me, if there's a 50-50 chance, there's a 99.9% chance I'm going to get it wrong every time. And I did. So anyway, I chose the other one. I did a bunch of recording tests. I didn't do them live because it's just annoying to do them live, and I know you don't like that either. I do think tomorrow, if I show any videos or do anything extra in there, it should not echo and reverb. Even my intro and outro were reverbing and echoing, so all of that should be fixed. So all that to say is I hope you'll join me for a live shop talk in the morning. And by the way, if there's a topic you would like to cover in that live shop talk tomorrow, please state it in the comments, especially if you see this video early, because like I said, I watched the early comments. I drift off on them anymore. I just can't keep up with them all. Another point that I thought I would cover was lots and lots of people were sending me helpful links to Dremel cutters. I appreciate that, but in pretty much all cases, the cutters that they were sending me were cutters that I already have. I do have a lot of spiral cutters. The skinny ones are no problem. It's the barrel-ended ones that I was looking for. And yeah, I know you can buy a few barrel-ended ones that are spiral cutters, but you in like a group big set. I don't really want a big set. I've got more cutters than Carter's got liver pills already, so I don't need more big sets. I would like to just buy the barrel-ended spiral cutter. So if you run across that, yeah, show me that. Just to be clear, let me give you an example of a barrel-ended spiral cutter. Well, actually, I don't know if I have a spiral one. Yeah, I do. Okay, here's the way they make them these days. See how the flutes are straight up and down? Here's how they used to make them. See how they're curved there? This cuts more cleanly. To be honest with you, neither one of these last very long. You're lucky to get one whole mandolin binding out of one of these. I'm not kidding you. That's how poorly they work. Again, planned obsolescence. You got to buy more of them. But anyway, the spiral one doesn't tear out so bad. So I would like the spiral one if you can find these. Now, I said that they were roughly 5/16 of an inch, 309 thousandths. And let me see what that is in millimeters in case they sell them in millimeters. That's about a 7.85 millimeter. So that's what I'm looking for. So if you run across that as singles, like I said, I don't want to buy a whole set of all the miscellaneous cutters just to get this one thing. Because like I said, I'm overrun with them now and I don't have a place to store them. That's the truth. So that's what I'm looking for. And I'm looking for those in singles. This used to be a number 115, I think. Now that's my memory from 20 years ago. So there you go. Why would I remember a number like that? I don't know. I used to remember numbers like crazy. I'm not exaggerating. You'll probably think I am, but at one time I had way over 200 phone numbers memorized in my head that I could actually, you could just be there writing them as fast as you could write them, and I could read them off to you and tell you who they belong to. I can't do that anymore. Why did I have that? Well, I worked at the phone company. I was on the phone all day long, every day. And the phone was planted in my ear. And, it saved a lot of time to just remember phone numbers rather than have to look them up. And I'm not kidding. And then we would even have, I just thought, a side note, we would even have customers that would call like once a month. And as soon as I hear their voice, I'm also really good at recognizing voices, or especially back then on the phone. And like this one guy had a real unique voice, and he was from Africa. And he would say, "Hello, this is Mr. Okoya." It's like that. You can't not recognize a voice like that. So when he would call up, I'd say, "Hello, Miss." As soon as he'd say hello, I'd say, "Hello, Mr. Okoya, how are you doing?" You could just know it was him. And then I'd say, "Your number's 314, 3911, whatever, And he'd go, "Yeah, how do you remember that?" So I had a lot of my customers memorized too, in addition to just internal phone numbers in the company. Anyway, that's just a side note. That didn't cost you any extra. Just, reliving the old days, the old times. The last thing I want to mention is we're still planning our trip down to Mountain View, Arkansas, and that'll be June 9th through the 12th. If you decide to come down there and jam with us, just send me an email, maybe a week ahead of time, and then I'll give you the cell number where I'll be, and you can text me or I can text you, vice versa. And keep you abreast of where we're going to be and what we'll be doing while we're down there. We'd love to have you come if you can make it. I think that's going to do it for today's vlog. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully I'll see you on tomorrow's Shop Talk, 8 a.m. my time. Thanks.